Before we begin, please leave a comment, share your thoughts and let us know your lessons learned in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. In the tranquil village of Ashara, nestled between ancient, towering trees and rolling hills, there lived a woman named Ammani. Known for her unmatched beauty, grace, and kindness, Ammani was the heartbeat of her village. Her skin, smooth and glowing like the dawn, seemed to radiate warmth wherever she went. Her eyes, the color of the deepest river, sparkled with a kind of quiet wisdom that many admired. She had a smile that could lift even the heaviest hearts and a heart that held boundless love. But despite her outward perfection, there was one thing Ammani deeply longed for: motherhood. Ammani was married to Kofi, a man whose love for her was pure, unwavering, and unconditional. Kofi, with his broad shoulders and gentle demeanor, was the perfect match for Ammani. They shared a bond so strong that it seemed to transcend time itself. For 5 years, they built their life together, filled with shared laughter, quiet moments, and a love that seemed impenetrable. Yet, beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect life, there was a cloud that threatened to tear them apart. Ammani was barren. Despite their deep affection, despite their hopes and prayers, no child came. In Ashara, a woman's worth was often tied to her ability to bear children. The village elders, and indeed the entire community, saw motherhood as the pinnacle of a woman's existence, the greatest blessing bestowed upon her by the gods. The people believed that a woman's soul could not truly flourish unless she had children to call her own. Children were seen as an extension of one's soul, a sign of divine favor. Thus, the moment Ammani and Kofi's marriage passed the 5-year mark without a child, the whispers began. At first, it was just a murmur behind closed doors. The women of Ashara, whose own lives were filled with the constant bustle of raising children, began to speak in hushed tones whenever Ammani walked by. The older women, especially, couldn't help but discuss Ammani's inability to conceive with cruel curiosity. It didn't matter how kind or graceful she was. All that mattered was the empty silence in her womb. But as the years passed, those whispers grew louder. The women began to mock Ammani openly. Every morning, they would gather at the riverbank, washing clothes and gossiping about the lives of others. It was there that the cruel words began to take shape. "Look at her," they would say, eyes glinting with disdain as Ammani walked past, holding her head high despite the sting in her heart. A beautiful woman, but no children to show for it. What a waste. Amaka, a mother of 6 children, was the ringleader of this cruel mocking. "Maybe the gods are punishing her," she would jeer, her laughter echoing across the river. Each day, Ammani fought to keep her composure, but the weight of the women's words felt like a heavy stone in her chest. She would lower her head, pretending not to hear their cruel jabs, and continue on her way, the river's ripples echoing in her mind. But the moment she returned to her home, the silence of her empty house seemed to swallow her whole. There were no cries of children to greet her, no little hands reaching for her embrace. The laughter of Kofi, once so comforting, felt hollow. She longed for the child she could not have, someone to love and hold, someone who could fill the emptiness in her heart. Kofi, ever the devoted husband, tried to comfort her. "Do not listen to them, my love," he would say, his arms wrapping around her in a protective embrace. "You are enough for me. More than enough. Children will come when the gods are ready." But though his words were gentle, they did little to quell the storm of self-doubt that raged in Ammani's heart. She had prayed fervently, made countless sacrifices at the village shrines, and had spent countless nights asking the gods to bless her with a child. Yet nothing changed. The months turned to years, and the only thing that grew was the sadness in her heart. Ammani's pain was not only fueled by the cruel whispers of the village women but also by the relentless pressure from Kofi's mother, Mama Kofi. Mama Kofi had high hopes for Ammani when she first married her son, believing that motherhood would complete her. But after 5 years without a child, Mama Kofi's patience began to wear thin. "What kind of woman are you?" she would snap, her sharp tongue cutting deeper than any insult from the villagers. "Still no children? No grandchildren to warm my old bones?" Mama Kofi's words were harsh, and though Ammani would remain silent, her heart would shatter with each passing day. Ammani could feel her own worth slipping away, the constant judgment wearing her down. She tried everything: rituals, prayers, sacrifices, but still, there was no child. Kofi, who had never once wavered in his love for her, began to feel the weight of the situation. 2. The pressure from Mama Kofi and the growing gossip in the village began to tear at the fabric of their once happy life. The love they shared was strong, but even love could not shield them from the overwhelming forces of tradition, family expectations, and the harsh words of their neighbors. One day, after a particularly heated argument with Mama Kofi, Ammani could bear it no longer. The weight of the shame, the cruelty, and the constant reminders of her failure crushed her spirit. In a fit of desperation, she fled, with her heart broken and her soul weary. Ammani ran. She didn't know where she was going, but she needed to escape from the constant whispers, from the expectations, from the torment. Her feet carried her deep into the dense forest, far away from the village that had once been her home. As she wandered through the forest, the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the path ahead. She didn't know where she was going, but she only knew one thing: she had to get away. In the distance, she saw the silhouette of a great tree, standing alone in the clearing. This was no ordinary tree, it was said to be the forbidden tree, a place feared by the villagers. Legends told of ancient spirits and gods that resided within its branches, and those who ventured too far would never return. But at that moment, Ammani had nothing left to lose. She walked up to the tree, knelt before it, and, with trembling hands, cried out to the spirits within. "Oh, great spirits of the tree," she whispered, her voice breaking, "I come to you with a heavy heart. Please hear my plea. I have been mocked, shamed, and tormented because I cannot bear a child. If there is any mercy left in this world, please bless me with a child of my own. I am willing to do anything." The forest around her was eerily silent, and for a long moment, Ammani wondered if anyone had even heard her cries. But just as she was about to give up and leave in despair, a soft voice, like a whisper in the wind, called out to her from the shadows. "You seek a child?" the voice asked. "If you are truly willing to do anything, I will show you a way." Ammani looked up in astonishment. Standing before her was an old woman, draped in white robes that seemed to shimmer in the moonlight. Her hair was silver, like the glow of the moon, and her eyes held an ancient wisdom. There was something otherworldly about her presence, as though she was not entirely of this world. "I will do anything," Ammani said, her voice filled with a mix of hope and desperation. The old woman smiled, and with a wave of her hand, pointed to a path that led deeper into the forest. "Follow this path," she said, "and you will find a tree unlike any other. Its branches reach the heavens, and its fruit stretches to the depths of the earth. Pluck one leaf from its branches, and return to me without hesitation. Only then will you find the answers you seek." And with that, the journey that would change Ammani's life forever began. Ammani's feet carried her deeper into the heart of the forest, the thick trees seeming to close in around her as if protecting her from the world she was fleeing. The familiar sounds of the village, the laughter of children, the chatter of women, the hum of everyday life, faded into nothingness, replaced by the rustle of leaves and the distant call of birds. It was quiet, unsettlingly so, yet Ammani felt a sense of calm wash over her. The weight of the village's judgment had become too heavy to bear. It had pushed her to the brink. And now, as she walked alone in the forest, Ammani couldn't help but wonder if she was running away from more than just the pain of her infertility. Perhaps she was running from the person she had become, an object of pity, ridicule, and shame. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Ammani came upon a clearing. In the center stood a massive tree, its trunk thick and gnarled, its branches stretching high into the sky. The leaves were a deep emerald green, glistening in the last light of the day. There was something ancient and sacred about the tree, as though it had witnessed countless generations come and go, holding secrets buried deep within its roots. The air around it was thick with an energy Ammani couldn't explain. A quiet, unspoken force that drew her closer. This, she realized, was the forbidden tree, the very tree the villagers spoke of in hushed whispers. It was said to be a sacred place, home to powerful spirits and ancient gods who had the power to change the course of one's destiny. To approach the tree was considered a grave risk, for the villagers believed that those who sought its power would be forever changed, often in ways they could not predict. But as Ammani stood before the tree, she felt no fear. She felt a strange pull, a sense of urgency, as if the tree itself was calling to her, urging her to take the next step in her journey. She knelt before it, her heart heavy with grief and longing. She had nothing left to lose, no family to return to, no future to look forward to, and no child to hold in her arms. All she had was a broken heart and the faint hope that this ancient tree might offer the miracle she so desperately sought. Trembling, Ammani placed her hands on the rough bark of the tree and closed her eyes. "Oh, great spirit of the tree," she whispered, her voice barely audible, "I come to you with a heart full of sorrow. I have been mocked, shamed, and tormented because I cannot bear a child. I have prayed and sacrificed, but still, I am barren. If there is any mercy left in this world, please grant me the gift of motherhood. I will do anything, if you will bless me with a child." For a long time, there was nothing but the sound of the wind rustling through the leaves. Ammani's heart sank, and she wondered if the tree had even heard her plea. Perhaps she had ventured too far into the forest, too far into the realm of the unknown. Maybe the spirits had forsaken her, just as the villagers had. But then, just as Ammani was about to give up, a soft voice echoed through the clearing, like a whisper carried by the wind. "You seek a child, do you?" Ammani's eyes snapped open, and she looked around in confusion. The clearing was empty, save for the towering tree before her. But as she glanced to her left, a figure emerged from the shadows, an old woman, draped in simple white robes, with silver hair that shimmered like the moonlight. Her eyes were dark and deep, filled with an ancient wisdom that seemed to pierce through Ammani's very soul. The woman's presence was calm and soothing, yet there was an undeniable power that emanated from her. Ammani gasped and stumbled backward. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice shaky. "Are you a spirit?" The old woman smiled, her expression warm yet knowing. "I am the servant of the three," she replied, her voice gentle but firm. "I am here to listen to your plea." Ammani's heart skipped a beat. She had heard the elders speak of the three, ancient spirits that lived within the heart of the forest. It was said that the three held the power to grant wishes, but at a steep price. To seek their help was to risk everything. "I have come to you because I cannot bear a child," Ammani confessed, her voice breaking. "I am nothing without children. My husband, Kofi, is a good man, but he too is suffering. I have tried everything, rituals, prayers, sacrifices, but still, the gods do not answer me. Please, grant me the gift of motherhood. I would give anything to have a child to love and hold." The old woman studied Ammani for a long moment, her eyes piercing through her soul. "You speak of children as though they are the only measure of your worth," she said, her voice soft but laced with a quiet strength. "But there is more to life than the gift of motherhood. Ammani, you have kindness and beauty within you that cannot be measured by the children you bear. The world has led you to believe that your worth lies in your ability to have children. But you must learn that there is more to your life than that." Ammani listened, stunned by the woman's words. For years, she had believed that motherhood was the only thing that would make her complete. She had allowed the opinions of others to define her, and now she realized how much she had given up in the process. "I understand your pain," the old woman continued, "but if you are truly willing to do anything, then I will show you the way. The path ahead will not be easy, but if you follow it with courage and patience, you will find what you seek." Ammani's heart raced with hope. "I will do anything," she said earnestly. "I will follow any path, no matter how difficult, if it will lead me to the child I so desperately long for." The old woman nodded and turned, motioning for Ammani to follow her. "Come," she said, "the path to your heart's desire lies ahead. But remember, every gift comes with a price." With that, Ammani followed the old woman as she led her deeper into the forest, away from the village, and toward a destiny that would change her life forever. Ammani walked alongside the old woman, her heart fluttering with a mix of hope and fear. The forest grew denser with each step, the air thick with mystery and ancient energy. The old woman, seemingly unaffected by the deepening shadows, moved with a quiet grace, her robes shimmering under the moonlight. Ammani's mind raced with thoughts of what was to come. The old woman had spoken of a path that would lead her to the heart of the forest, to a tree unlike any other. But what did this mean? Was this tree truly the answer to her longing, or was it another trial to test her will? They walked in silence for what felt like hours, the only sounds being the soft rustling of leaves and the distant call of night creatures. Ammani's feet ached, Her thoughts a whirlwind. She could not remember the last time she had ventured this far into the forest. And the further they went, the more she felt the weight of the world lifting from her shoulders. It was as if the trees themselves were guiding her, whispering secrets of the earth, of life, of what lay ahead. She could feel the presence of something ancient, something that had been waiting for her. Her heart quickened with anticipation. Finally, they reached a clearing, and in the center stood the tree. It was magnificent, its trunk wide and knotted, the bark glowing faintly in the moonlight. Its branches stretched high into the sky, far above the canopy, and its leaves shimmered as though dusted with stardust. The tree seemed to pulse with life, and Ammani felt a deep, resonating energy hum through the air, vibrating in her very bones. It was unlike anything she had ever seen before. This was no ordinary tree. It was a sacred tree, older than time itself, a tree that could alter destinies. The old woman stood beside the tree, her eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. She turned to Ammani, her expression serious yet gentle. "This is the tree of life," the woman said. "It is the source of creation, a place where the past, present, and future meet. The gods planted it long ago to give life to those who seek it. But it only grants its gift to those who are worthy. It has seen the birth of many souls, and it will now see the birth of yours." Ammani approached the tree, her heart racing. She had heard the legends, but to stand before such a majestic being was overwhelming. She felt small, insignificant, yet in awe of the power that radiated from the tree. The leaves swayed gently, as though beckoning her closer. "Pluck one leaf," the old woman instructed. "This leaf will carry the essence of life within it. It will grant you your wish, if you are ready to accept the consequences. The price will not be small." Ammani nodded, swallowing hard. Her hands trembled as she reached up toward the branches, feeling the smooth surface of the leaves beneath her fingertips. Each leaf shimmered with an ethereal glow, but one in particular stood out, a single golden leaf, glowing softly against the dark backdrop of the forest. Without hesitation, Ammani plucked it from the branch, holding it gently in her hands as if it were made of the finest glass. The moment the leaf left the tree, a sudden, eerie silence fell over the forest. Ammani felt a shift in the air, a subtle change that made her skin tingle. It was as if the entire world had paused, holding its breath. She looked at the old woman, who nodded approvingly. "You have done well," she said. "Now, return to your village, plant the leaf in your garden, and it will grow into something extraordinary. But remember, patience is key. The journey ahead will not be easy." Ammani felt a surge of hope as she looked at the leaf in her hands. Could this really be the answer to her prayers? Could this small, golden leaf truly grant her the child she so desperately wanted? With gratitude and a renewed sense of purpose, Ammani made her way back home, her mind swirling with possibilities. The forest was no longer dark and intimidating. It now felt like a place of protection, a sanctuary that had shown her the way. As she walked, she felt the weight of her grief and loneliness lifting, replaced by quiet, hopeful anticipation. Perhaps the journey she had embarked on had only just begun. Upon reaching her home, Ammani immediately went to her garden and found a quiet spot. She knelt down, her hands trembling slightly, and gently planted the leaf in the soil. She watered it carefully, just as the old woman had instructed. For days, she tended to the small patch of earth where the leaf lay, speaking to it softly as if the plant could hear her. She had no idea what would happen, but she believed in the promise the old woman had made, that this was the first step toward her dream. Days turned into weeks, and to Ammani's surprise, a small sprout began to emerge from the soil. It was unlike any plant she had ever seen before. Its stem was silver, and the leaves, though small, seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Ammani's heart skipped a beat. It was growing, just as the old woman had said. Each day, she watered it with care, and the plant grew taller, its roots digging deep into the earth. It was strange, otherworldly, but it felt right. This was the beginning of something new. As the plant grew, Ammani's dreams became more vivid. Every night, she dreamed of a child, a small boy, no older than 5 or 6, with bright eyes that shone like the sun. In the dreams, the boy would reach for her, calling out her name. His presence felt so real, so tangible. Yet whenever Ammani tried to hold him, he would vanish, slipping through her fingers like mist. The villagers, of course, took notice of the strange plant in Ammani's garden. They had seen her tending to it daily. And whispers began to spread like wildfire. "What is she doing now?" they asked. "Is she trying to conjure something unnatural?" The rumors were fueled by fear and superstition. But Ammani remained resolute. She had come this far. And she would not let the opinions of others stop her from pursuing the dream that had filled her heart for so long. One afternoon, as Ammani was tending to the plant, something extraordinary happened. The plant, which had been growing steadily, suddenly began to glow with a soft golden light. The light pulsed with a rhythm of its own, growing brighter and brighter until it illuminated the entire garden. Ammani gasped, her heart racing. She had never seen anything like this before. The plant seemed to be alive, its energy swirling in the air around her. And then, as if answering her unspoken wish, a small fruit appeared at the tip of one of the branches. It was golden, shaped like a small orb, and it shimmered in the light. Ammani's hands shook as she reached up to pluck the fruit from the plant. The moment she held it in her hand, a feeling of warmth spread through her body. It was as if the very essence of life had entered her veins. She could feel the power of the tree coursing through her, filling her with a deep sense of peace and purpose. This was it. This was the moment she had been waiting for. As the golden fruit rested in her palm, she knew that the time had come. She would eat it, just as the old woman had instructed, and the child she had longed for would finally be hers. But as she gazed at the fruit, the old woman's words echoed in her mind. Every gift comes with a price. Ammani's heart fluttered with both excitement and fear. What was the price? What would this gift cost her? She didn't know, but she was ready. The fruit was the key to her future, to the family she had always dreamed of. And so, with trembling hands, Ammani held the fruit to her lips, ready to make the ultimate sacrifice for the child she so desperately wanted.